welcome to When Will It End? Too Fast, Too Furious. We are.
Can I say something?
Yeah, of course.
Right off the bat?
Yeah.
I hope this never ends.
Me too. What? The Fast and the Furious? Or us
No,
sitting
just
on...
this.
We are live at the Bay of Miami, sitting on the beach,
Well,
feet up. The sun is in our.
actually,
we are
Miami? What? Your thing says it's like 56 degrees. Do you think it's 56 in March in
This
Miami?
would be the coldest day in Miami ever, I think.
Okay.
No good. This is one of the best examples of compromise between creative partners I've ever encountered. We are.
What, you being a little fussy ass and then I'm being like, we could just go outside. Fine, let's just go outside.
It's a Sunday. I barely slept this weekend. The fact that, and I know I took a nap before you throw that in my face, you overlord.
Hey, man, I'm loose this weekend.
You are wearing.
I'm chill.
For the listener, Charles is wearing a tie-dye hoodie that is.
This is the same tie-dye hoodie I wore on the episode when I had the flu.
Of course, I remember that.
I came over and I was deathly ill and I recorded 3 episodes and I wore this most of the time.
You know, you were dying, but you were also loosey-goosey.
Yeah, those were the days.
Yeah,
they were the days.
My cat is watching us through the door. He's scratching. You cut it out, Harry.
Harry
vomited between episodes.
Yeah. It's been quite a beautiful day.
It's
but
been
here
an
we
eventful
are.
day. Here we are outside, recording outside. Is this the first time a podcast has ever been recorded outside?
No.
Oh, I thought it was.
Thousands have been done outside.
Really?
Yeah, thousands.
Huh.
Maybe even hundreds of thousands.
Which ones are? I've never. Whatever. I think we're breaking ground. I think for a movie podcast, that's huge.
Probably the most popular type of podcast that exists. That's probably not true. Business podcasts exist. People listen to those, right?
I guess so.
I don't know. Probably people make those.
Probably people make those.
I can't imagine anyone who's in business. Like what schlub is listening to a fucking business podcast? If you listen to a business podcast,
fuck off.
No, get at us. Tell me. I'm not Josh. This is a new me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm no longer aggressive.
Yeah.
I want to understand.
You're trying to open your third eye.
In the wake of the disaster, I mean, this is going to be released well into the Democratic primary.
We're already, I would say, pretty...
Right, but this is going to be a month or so later.
Sure.
Already, I'm like, I just want to understand who's voting for Biden, who wanted to vote for Warren.
Right.
Who are you?
Uh-huh.
And I'm not mad at you. I'm like, what is you?
What is you? That's the question.
Yeah.
You go into society, you see people, maybe they're wearing a big white T-shirt. Maybe they're wearing a West Coast Choppers T-shirt.
Maybe they're both the same person.
Maybe they're the same guy, and that guy is Paul Walker.
Yeah.
And you're like, who is this guy? What motivates him?
Yeah.
What makes him to be so fast and so furious?
Well, that's really interesting because we find out more about that. Much, much, much more.
In Too Fast, Too Furious.
Yeah, we're into Too Fast, Too Furious.
And look, you know the drill. We watch the movies. We tell you if they're good. And we watch.
Shut up.
Hey, hold on.
What?
I said what I said.
That was good.
Yes, I did
You
it.
nailed it. You nailed it. I was thinking about it. That fucking.
Will you tell my girlfriend that I finally did it good?
I'll text her. I don't think
She
I have
won't
her number.
believe me. She won't believe you either.
No, she'll believe me.
It's true. You're pretty objective on this. She knows how important it is to you that I fail at that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So okay, we watched Fast and the Furious for our last episode, and we were left wanting both faster and more furious movie making. And I would say, my good friend, with John Singleton's exceptional 2003 Too Fast, Too Furious, we get a real change of pace that is vitally needed.
Well, so much change. This is gonna be a hard one to talk about. I think to stay focused.
Well,
this is like a. I can't even think of a similar situation we're in right now. We've watched many series, but we're entering new ground.
Well, this is a hard pivot because you watch Fast and the Furious and you're like, oh my God, this Dom Toretto character is fascinating.
Right.
What a dark, brooding, sexual being full of mystery and intrigue. And he watched his daddy die in a horrible car accident. And maybe it was his dad screaming, maybe it was his screaming. Who knows?
Well,
Who's
know.
to say?
I mean, the people who told me, he told us that story.
Yeah.
He screamed.
He did
But
scream.
I remember the end of last.
How embarrassing your dad dies and you're like, oh no, not my dad.
I'm burning alive. No,
Yeah.
kid, that was your dad.
Yeah.
Just shut the fuck up.
You quit appropriating his pain.
Yeah. At the end of last episode, you were basically only not asking when will it end because of the promise of more Dom.
Right.
Basically. I mean, you liked other elements. And you're like, this could go somewhere. But your whole thing was Dom isn't fascinating person. Finn is doing a great job portraying him. I don't want to lose that. And yet here we are with Too Fast, Too Furious.
And guess what? What's the first thing we lose?
You've fucking seen this thing. You didn't even remember that Dom wasn't in this movie.
I think at a certain point, the memories of being in high school and the cars racing all blend together into one general, like, jambalaya of brightly colored cars in various sunny locales.
Yeah.
And let me say this. I was talking about comparisons to Bad Boys in the last episode. We are finally out of LA, baby. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Sad feeling LA.
So I guess in one way, this you said this is the Bad Boys 2 of the Fast saga.
Right, which is a smart thing to have said.
I disagree with it, but I in one way it is that it also takes place in Miami.
That's one of the dumber things I've said. It's the second movie in a series that's set in Miami and there's cars in it. So
yeah, and you're trying to make some point about like the continuing of a personal saga or something, but
I don't know. I say all
disagree.
kinds of stuff in the heat of the moment.
But back to my point, wow, we're so relaxed. We should record every episode outside.
I'm taking a photo of you. This is really
listeners
special.
Must know that, like, they could tell right from the start, like, where are they? What drugs did they take? Actually,
in this case, honestly,
yeah,
a little vitamin D, baby.
Yeah,
and I took a nap
and a gummy.
I know I haven't taken a gummy.
Oh,
yeah,
great! Wow, you seem so relaxed.
Well, I was so fucking tired, and it's hard to watch action movies when you're sleepy. So I'm talking about
when you're sleepy,
because you're trying to lull yourself into a state of relaxation, and they're driving the dang cars so dang fast.
Oh my god, will they ever stop driving those cars? I hope not.
Okay, we were talking a minute ago. You pilloried me. You lampooned me. You ran me up the flag just to laugh at me that I had mistook elements of 1 and 2. And I want to point out that that's the impact of these series, is that they create a space in your mind. Like, can you clearly distinguish the events between parts of 8 could have happened in 5, parts of 7 could have happened in 4. Like, at a certain point, like it's a space you live in.
But we're now we're as I said, we're entering new territory. We have this has never happened before. We've never watched, especially we're entering a 9-part series where part 2 removes what we thought was the main character, moves to a different city, introduces many new characters. It's like we were expecting a sandbox to play in, and they just were like, no, that original sandbox is filled with toddler shit. We should go get a better sandbox.
And they give us a lean, mean, fucking awesome movie.
Machine.
What do you think, Cousin Lance? It is a beautiful movie directed by John Singleton of Boys in the Street.
That's what you would say.
Did I say Boys in the Street? No, Josh, no.
I'll edit that out. Don't worry about it.
Please don't leave in.
I'll edit that out.
Boys in the Hood. Oh, God.
Boys in the Street.
This isn't good. I need to go now.
You know, we're relaxed. It doesn't matter.
Also, John Singleton's dead.
Hey, man, I already said...
Rip, honestly. What a fucking legend.
Triple rip.
Triple rip.
Trip. We said last episode we're two ignorant 30-something-year-old white men.
I'm 29. Why are you doing this?
You'll be 30 in a month.
2+ months.
Whatever. We're talking about racial movies. We're gonna make some blunders like
you sound so much worse when you talk
in
about
the street. It's okay, John.
To John Singleton, to everyone in Boys in the Hood.
You can apologize
to Charles.
To me. Thank you.
To African America, to America, to the film community. I apologize for referring to John Singleton's classic film as Boys in the Street.
Yeah.
And Lawrence Fishburne.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Why? Was he in Boys in the Street?
He was he's one of the beloved members of Boys in the Street. Street Boys. I'm going to remake it as Boys in the Street. It's going to be bad.
So we're much in the same way that you as a listener might feel relaxed in this outdoor space that we found ourselves in. We immediately felt relaxed in the first 30 seconds of watching Too Fast, Too Furious.
Right. When you go from a movie that is like an absolute fucking Happy Meal to like a finely crafted 3-course dinner by a chef who maybe you've seen him on the TV shows of chefing and he's very good at it.
Chefing?
Chop, chop, chop.
Chop? Are you talking about the show Chop?
I don't know. What chef guy from famous Chef TV. This movie is competently and confidently directed, and it is beautiful. And what's so cool about this is that the first speaking role in this movie, finally, we're seeing the and we're walking a fine line here, Charles. And I want to run this by you. You were making a big stinkety stink in the last episode about, you can't watch this from the vantage point of knowing what's to come. We're trying to watch this as it progresses. This movie takes a massive step forward towards the family that we all love, have come to know and love for the last 20 years.
I'm glad you brought this up.
So
I mean, this is a big.
We're hitting on one of your
this
more
is a
annoying
fight we're gonna
takes.
get into.
It's not really a fight. We don't really disagree. We're just phrasing it differently. But in this movie, we start off with Ludacris as Tej right off the bat. We get Ludacris as Tej, and he introduces us to another street race, like from the first movie. But unlike the first movie, it is clean. It is well told. It's not just sort of this like weird bacchanal in a street. We see the road closure signs going up, like basic visual storytelling that like builds
camera work that's like
there's shots. There's so many shots.
They're actually set up shots. The cinematographer of Too Fast, Too Furious is like an actual working cinematographer. I don't know what happened on the first one.
I mean, it looks like dog shit.
Yeah.
The scene where Tyrese and Paul Walker talk with the sun setting behind them, and it's the emotional climax of the film as two old friends reconcile their differences, and we understand more about Paul Walker's motivation. Yeah, that's really an incredible scene,
and it was beautifully shot. There's a really you get the initial shot, and then the camera just pulls down, and then it sets up the next shot. Yeah, all in one take.
It's beautiful.
A lot of push-ins. I like a good push-in, and whoever did this is.
They do a lot of those cute things where, like, we have the 4 cars lined up, and we get the sweeping down the line shot, and there's that one thing where I love. This is the kind of shit I live for, and we talked about Speed Racer in the last episode. This race feels like a Speed Racer race in a good way.
Obviously not nearly the heights of Speed Racer, but it's
certainly not the emotional depths of Speed Racer. Dios míos.
Neither the heights nor the depths, but somewhere in there.
But they do like the coming into focus down the line. Everyone turns and like nods towards Paul Walker as he joins the race. It's just really all this little. It's just visual candy that the first movie feels like a real hack job, like really bad.
It does.
I think we go from like charitably a 2 to like a 9. It's like a crazy transition to make.
Absolutely, yeah. The first one was. We talked about it. It wasn't a movie. Like we realized we didn't really talk about this afterwards, but for me, what I would say as a filmmaker, the emotional climax is person A is fucking person B's sister. Person B makes a big stink about.
Why don't you just use their names? Because these are well known.
I'm setting this up mathematically.
Lord,
you got X and you got Y. I'm talking any movie. I don't want to say this is just.
Brian
specific.
is fucking Mia.
I'm just saying that I don't want this to be
sister.
specific to the Fast saga.
Yeah, let's avoid specificity in the movie review show.
No, I'm saying we're talking about a story as old as time.
Joseph Campbell.
X is fucking Y's sister.
Okay.
Z. X Z. Wait, fuck.
This is like the roller coaster thing all over again.
Shut up. Y is like if you break Z's heart.
Y is what listeners are saying right now.
I will break your head.
I don't even know if is that a good thing or a threat?
It's a threat.
Oh, okay.
X suddenly goes, I'm a cop. Y says, I hate cops. And for me, that would be a moment where he wants to kill him. He's like, he has to grapple with emotional shit that's
hold on,
out of nowhere. He's his best friend now.
Dom and Brian have been best friends for like, 35 minutes. Like, it's a really big deal.
Yeah.
Tom Toretto, who we know to have in his gang, guys like Vince, who's known since the 3rd grade.
Not a gang.
Sorry.
Team.
Excuse me. Team. That was rude of me. I didn't show respect to the Toretto family, and that's on me. And I apologize. I want to apologize to Dom. I want to apologize to Mia. I want to apologize to Brian. I want to apologize to Vince. I want to apologize to Jesse. Rip. And apologize to you, Charles.
Thank you.
Distant,
I don't give a shit. I just want to be in there.
Yeah.
I want to be a part of the team.
You want to be included. Yeah. So you play like a loner, but you really want to be part of the team.
Oh my god. But they just totally they have one moment where he's sort of peeved and then drives away, and that's it. And that's not a story. The people who made Fast and the Furious we're not storytellers.
Right. Also, the part where like Brian like blurts out he's a cop to Mia is very abrupt and very strange.
Yeah.
It's not like Point Break at all.
No.
Okay.
That's one way.
Okay.
It's not like Point
Right.
Break.
Anyways, this movie pivots away from all that, and in a way, it's a good reset because what you just pointed out is very real. There's a lot of big emotional themes in Fast and the Furious that are very crudely rendered. I think there's some good individual moments and some good acting, but like by and large, Paul Walker's performance is not terribly credible. There isn't a real sense of sort of where this is stewing up into. And this movie is like, okay, we're going to back away from the big, Hunter and the Hunted theme. We're going to go back and focus on Paul Walker and try to understand him more and his motivation more.
So you were saying it's the birth of the family.
Right. Because we're bringing in the first movie, we've met Letty, we've met Dom, we've met Mia, we've met some of the Toretto-verse, if you will. But now we're filling out the Walker-verse. And I know the Brian verse just feels...
Can we find
the O'Connor verse?
Well, can we do not do verse? I feel like verse is the overarching...
Okay. In the Venn diagram...
We're talking planets.
In the various Venn diagrams
or even
of...
solar system.
What amounts to the ultimate
Galaxies?
team. We're now fleshing out Brian's...
What is the hierarchy?
Segment. I don't...
Does it go universe, galaxy,
just pick something and
solar
we'll move forward
system?
with it.
Does it go... Is the universe the biggest? Yeah. Because there's... Yeah. Okay.
Universe is very big.
It's only one of them.
Very big.
It's only one of them.
Okay, this movie decides to flesh out Brian's portion of the cosmos, and we are introduced
Galaxy
to
Brian.
My new favorite character ever, a character
Which
who
one?
I've always loved, but I forgot how much I loved him. No, as much as I love Tej, as much as I love Suki, some great people there. I'm not speaking ill of them. We get Roman in this movie, and Tyrese explodes into this movie and is so electric and cool and very hunky and a very attractive man. He takes his shirt off, and I was like, we were saying, they're trying to impress the mob boss, and they do this crazy car zoom to go pick up this package for him. Then they get out and sort of saunter over to the Target, and we were like, why don't they go faster? Then Tyrese pops that shirt off, and we were like,
take your
slow
time.
it on down.
Take your time.
He is phenomenal in this movie.
Yeah.
And he plays, of course, Roman is Brian O'Connor's old chum from back in the day. But while Brian became a cop, Roman was a criminal, got busted, and he's angry at Brian because he feels that Brian's responsible for his bust. And not the good kind of busting.
What? Oh, the tube top bust.
Lord. Dios and Mios.
Yeah, and it's really well set up. I mean, I wouldn't say it's the most subtle thing. It's very well constructed, and you sort of see it, but both of them are so... I feel like Paul Walker was in chains the last movie. I feel like he didn't do anything. And here we see his smile is so wonderful, and like I could live in that smile, and everything feels so real in this. And he's maybe not the best actor, but this is what he should be doing.
Well, it's the dynamic of in Fast and the Furious, Rip. In Fast and the Furious, it's all about him, being undercover, forging this bond. And like he's reaching up to this like mythic figure of Dom Toretto. In this movie, it's him and his old chum from back in the day.
Yeah,
when they were boys in the street, and that familiarity
boys in the street
reads that familiarity like that he's trying to craft with Dom doesn't really exist in the first movie. But they're thick as thieves, man.
Yeah, it's great.
It's great. Roman's busting his balls. Roman's like, you're always getting in trouble with girls. And Eva Mendes shows up. We get Eva.
Also, I'm glad we watched Turbocharged Prelude.
Oh, Lord.
Because you see it, he keeps getting in trouble with those girls.
Oh, yeah.
We did watch the short film called Turbocharged Prelude.
Yes, and by watch...
Cool name.
Charles watched most of it while holding the laptop, and we moved out the gear to the porch while I loudly complained about having to watch truly a sub-DVD extra quality.
It wasn't a movie. No one spoke. People were speaking, but they decided to overdub it with just bad music.
Which in the first movie, by the way, we didn't really mention this in the first episode. The first movie has a lot of music choices that are very irritating.
Yeah.
And this
oh my God, yeah, that's true. We didn't talk about it at all.
It's crazy.
Yeah, there's scenes where it's just like really loud music with with lyrics. And they're having a conversation.
Right, it's crazy. And then they'll just cut to a different piece of music, and it's terrible. And this movie, I think, actually harnesses the sort of like shitty EDM that this series is like, soaked in, where, they reserve it more for the big moments. There's like some space to breathe, and there's like a lot of tension in this. And, what I loved about it is that like, kind of like Bad Boys 2, we're getting this like, crossing the sea drug cartel guy who's like really fucking evil. He's like a psycho dude.
Yeah.
I loved him.
But he's also very human too.
Right.
I don't think he goes over the top. Actually, you said he's like a sort of like a Matthew McConaughey or
Jason Clarke.
They
call it the Serenity paradigm.
But I actually think I like this actor best.
Inside of all men exists a Matthew McConaughey and a Jason Clarke.
I think that's what Serenity was actually about.
Yeah.
Like,
Just those two white guys. That's the two. That's all. That's it.
But I think that the actor who did play, what was his name, Verone?
Yeah, Verone.
Yeah, he was perfect. He was a little more laid back. I think both, especially in 2003, I think both Clark and especially Matthew would have been a little bit, chomping at that scenery.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, can we award an MVP?
Yeah.
By the way, I've been thinking we should award series MVPs.
Like at the end or every episode?
We could do individual movie MVPs and then series MVPs. It's something I thought about as a good thing we should have been doing.
I like it. We should have been doing it the whole time.
Okay. I want to nominate, we can debate this. In the first movie, the great Tom Barry plays...
So we're just going to retroactively assign one, starting with the fast.
No, we're going to start here going forward. So just with this movie, we'll appoint a movie MVP. Then we'll appoint a series MVP.
Should we be doing 1, 2, since we are pretty fresh with it? We can choose
We are pretty fresh with it. What were you gonna do? He was gonna do something people, but he failed. He bailed out.
It doesn't matter. Listeners, it would have been edited out.
We'll never know.
So we'll never know. You'd never know. I'm gonna edit this out.
We'll never know.
Have I edited anything out, Josh?
I think you must. I pray you've edited something out at some point. We'll never know. Okay, in the first movie, let's worry about the first movie MVP in a minute. I want to start where we start.
Okay,
I said what I said.
That's pretty close.
Tom Barry in the first movie plays one of these dang ass feds.
I like where you're going.
He's way up the asshole, and excuse my French.
No, French it up.
He's right up the asshole of those poor Miami cops just trying to do their job.
Sort of.
Kind of. It's hard to tell.
Really hard.
Their objective is fucking mysterious. It seems like the sergeant is more hell-bent. I'm going to give him MVP for the first movie because he's like, look, you're an undercover cop.
Just do your fucking
Just be
job.
yourself, man.
Yeah.
Just don't go crazy. If that means betraying everything you hold dear, go for it.
Yeah.
What a fucking terrible supervisor. Anyways, in this movie, Tom Barry's back as the feds, but now they got a new fucking piece of shit to deal with, the U.S. Customs Department.
Oh, my God, that overarching regime.
We hate those customs people.
U.S. Customs Department.
They're the new Gestapo. I said it, finally.
I don't even think they're the new. They've been the Gestapo throughout the entire history of America.
They probably were the Gestapo before the Gestapo.
Yeah, the Gestapo learned a thing or two from the U.S. Customs Department.
Right, and this time, they're the fucking dinglings riding our boys, and it's terrible, and we hate it. And Tom Barry's our friend.
Yeah.
And now Tom Barry is our fun guy, and he cares about Roman and Brian.
He really
cares
does.
about their well-being. He's funny.
Yeah, I called him avuncular.
You did call him avuncular, which I think is accurate.
It's lovely. He's
a large-framed, tall, loving man.
And he's that way the whole movie. I really think that getting a new director, getting new writers, they changed the dynamic.
They really did.
And it's nice to have an African-American director at the helm because it was very obvious that the last movie was completely helmed by white guys.
You don't think Rob Cohen's black? Director Rob Cohen?
Rob Cohen?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe.
I don't think so.
I would be very surprised because it just seemed like white people writing about race in 2001.
Yeah.
And sucked. But yeah, it's nice. And it's just like, I think what's his name? The actor?
Tom Barry. Tom
Barry. He just got a whole new way to relate to these characters. And he is perfect. When he goes and visit Roman for the first time with Paul Walker.
They go back to Barstow, where we learn Brian came up. Him and Brian and Roman came up in Barstow, which is in a shitty part of the valley. Or not the valley, forgive me. Ignore me. I don't know California. I don't know why I pretended to. It's not the valley. It's the Inland Empire, right? It's the middle of fucking... It's like the shitty inland
Josh, you know why I didn't correct you?
Because you don't know either.
Because I don't know
we
either.
Shit. We're New England pieces of shit, and we'll die here with New England in our bones.
Probably.
They go to Barstow.
It's beautiful country.
It's beautiful country.
Look at it out there.
I've never seen you this happy, consistently. You should really be outside more. I know you say you work in a glass box or whatever, but this is nice. The sun, just the sun on the face. Imagine in days of yore, when we had no podcasts, we had no, daily grind, and you lie in the grass and feel the sun.
Are you talking about emperors?
Yes.
Okay, imagine being an emperor.
Imagine being an emperor.
Wow. I can feel it.
Master of all you see.
Do you think any of your ancestors were emperors?
I'm Jewish, dude. We were, I think, strictly at the mercy of emperors in almost all circumstances.
Yeah.
You strike me as not of
You don't think I have
blood.
royalty? I am a direct.
Maybe like a disgraced count or something. You know?
Yeah, I am a direct descendant to the vice president of this country,
Of Mike Pence.
Charles Fairbanks, Teddy Roosevelt's vice.
So
president.
rather, you should maybe a vice president of this country, because the guy you're talking about was vice president. I want to say 120 years ago.
Well, I did say direct descendant. So that is a clue that maybe it wasn't the current one. But yeah, you're
Fair
right.
enough.
A.
You don't look
A.
like Mike Pence.
Thank you.
If anyone's never seen Charles,
Yeah.
1, God, I'm jealous. 2, doesn't look like Mike Pence.
Nothing like Pence.
They go to Barstow because Roman's got a friggin' ankle monitor because he got in trouble.
They really like that shot.
They love that
They show
shot.
us
They
over
show
and
it a
over
lot.
again.
But it's about personal liberation. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
absolutely. That's why I want to go back to talk about family.
We just got to Barstow.
I know, but you brought it up, and I never got to counter. I don't think this movie is about family. I think that was a game they played to get us back to these characters that initially Vin Diesel fucking bailed on this project. In an interview in 2017, he said, "While I understand why I did it, now I should have done it because for the loyalty to my fans, I should have done the best that I could have with what I thought was an inferior project."
Which we both agree is incomprehensible.
I don't get it. He brought up Francis Ford Coppola. He's like, they didn't do what Francis Ford Coppola would have done, which is a very common phrase, probably in the industry. Again, we don't know anything about L.A.
Didn't Coppola want
California.
to shoot Apocalypse Now in Vietnam or something?
I don't know.
Whatever.
But this is a much better movie, and probably because Vin Diesel's not in it. That's my theory. Not that Vin Diesel detracts from the film, but I think his character was... Wow. You just stretched out. I didn't even know that was an option. Do I have that option?
I was saving that for a moment.
Oh, God, you're going to fuck
It's
it up.
fine. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
All right.
I leaned back in my chair, everybody.
So I think this whole family thing, like if you talk to anyone, like the first joke you're going to hear about the Furiousverse is like, "Oh, my familia." Like it became about family, but that's not what it was about. It was about liberation. It was about respect. It was about becoming someone that you want to be rather than someone that you're forced to be.
Well, also, okay, it's also when Roman's talking to the mob boss guy, Roman's like, "I got a problem with authority,"
Yeah.
and the mob boss goes, "I have that problem too."
Yeah.
And he doesn't care that Roman stole his cigar cutter, and he's kind of a dick.
Yeah.
He's like, I get it. What this world is that we're exploring in the Fast and Furious universe is a story of outcasts and outlaws finding their truth in the margins of society.
Right. And then you watch a rat get put under a bucket on someone's belly. And
Someone's belly. Someone's belly.
our favorite,
The guy most likely to play a crooked cop ever. That guy from...
well, especially if Christopher Nolan's directing. The guy
Yeah.
most likely to be cast in a Christopher Nolan movie and least likely to be cast in anyone else's movie.
and the most likely to be sworn to.
Yeah, he's the hotel attendant in Memento.
Right.
Yeah, I like him. He's great.
And famously, what does Christian Bale say to him in Batman Begins?
Respect my authority.
Swear to me.
Swear to me. That's what it is.
But he says it differently than I said. He says,
Swear to me.
"Swear to me!
No, he doesn't.
Swear to me!"
Is it the musical version? Do you think they're ever going to do a Dark Knight musical?
That's what we need. That's definitely the next step.
Are you just going to take a nap?
I'm like so close to death right now.
You're not. Fuck off.
This
Look at you.
sweet...
You're fucking basking in the sun.
I'm so
Taking
happy.
a picture of this.
This is so nice.
Close to
No.
death. I'm so close to death.
Let me
Leave me
rephrase.
alone.
The French, the French call coming?
Yeah, little death.
Le petit mort.
Oh, there he is.
I don't know if I said it right.
Yeah, you did. Your mom is learning French.
She's using Duolingo.
Yeah.
It's really cute. I
Yeah,
love it.
she's got a good accent.
She's really committed to it. She's a brilliant woman. She's working hard on it.
What's she doing that for?
I think that's,
Should I ask her?
You should definitely want to ask her too. Like, she's retired. I think she's trying to, keep herself on the bleeding edge of culture. And so learning a romance language is what classy people do.
But she's not planning a trip to like French.
They'll go
Guinea
back to
or-
France. Yeah, they're going to Guinea.
Yeah. Guam. No, not Guam.
I don't know about Guam. They're
French.
going to the Congo.
Yeah, the Congo.
Like, it's Belgian, but that's pretty close.
I can't tell them apart.
It's pretty close. It's like
The
a
Ivory
dialect thing.
Coast.
Could be the Ivory Coast.
Yeah.
And the Lord knows they've been to Morocco.
I feel like France has gotten, because they were not very good at colonialization, they've really gotten off the hook in the last, this millennium and the last half of the last millennium.
I don't know about that because there's the whole thing with the war in Algeria, which was a massive,
Yeah, but who knows about that except for historians and people that watch that one movie?
Well, I mean, like they mowed down. Well, they killed hundreds of Algerians. In that
I'm
riot
not saying
in
they.
Paris.
I'm saying that because they do not they did not do what the British did.
That's true.
They're
still like
somehow out of the conversation of what like everyone's talking about what the British did.
Well, okay, for example, the Germans did a terrible job establishing colonial rule because they were such a fragmented.
Yeah,
and
also,
they did the Holocaust.
They weren't on the coast.
They did the Holocaust.
I think you need to be on the coast to be in the game.
It certainly helps.
Yeah,
because Germany just ceded the Treaty of Westphalia in 1648, ceded a lot of their access to many of the major waterways to their immediate neighbors to find peace after the 30 Years' War.
Yeah.
I just read a book about it. It was fucking amazing.
Oh, did you? Really?
I sure did. I haven't mentioned it, but I did. Veronica Wedgwood. Oh, God, The 30 Years' War, one of the best books I've ever read. They go to Barstow, which is where Brian and Roman are from. Roman's got ankle monitor on still. He's still mad at Brian. And what does Roman do? You know, he's still in prison, but how does he express his freedom?
Through busting up cars?
Demolition Derby, baby.
Yeah,
so we get a great little shot.
Great intro.
Right. And I think what's cool about the first movie is that it really leaned away from... I think they were feigning grittiness, but it really is not a very gritty movie.
It's not gritty at all.
And this movie, there's like, maybe it's Singleton, maybe it's the cinematographer. There's really some great grit to this. And just seeing like Roman like getting his rocks off, smashing cars with his dank ass Demolition Derby ride was so cool. And like,
I like that it was like just covered in dirt.
Yeah.
Like that was just a nice little touch.
It's a wonderful touch.
They didn't need to do that, but they like, I don't know. It just made it feel really, I should have brought my sunglasses. Jesus.
Yeah, you're going through quite a journey here on the porch.
I'm right in the sun.
Yeah. You looked happy, now you look miserable.
Yeah.
Just like, just don't look straight into the sun. You can angle yourself too. The hood's not going to help.
I gotta look
The hood's not going to block.
Yeah, I'll sit like this.
There you go. Oh, look at that. Oh, look at you.
This is great.
This is the best thing we've ever done.
What a great episode.
I'm so happy. It's going to be a shit episode. It's just going to be like, well, they seem to have enjoyed
Why are they so relaxed?
Lying in the sun. they're less angry and emotionally knotted up than normal. No, but okay, so this whole sequence was great. Like underneath a swollen gray sky, we see Roman and Brian fight it out, their childhood anger at each other.
Yeah.
Well, fucking our guy Tom Barry, movie MVP, fucking Agent Bilkins pops a squad, starts literally eating popcorn and watching them punch each other in the face.
Yeah,
it's sick.
I'm gonna try to choose my MVP. I honestly think it might go to Eva Mendes.
She's great in this.
She's really good.
Yeah.
I think she's a little underserved. The script doesn't really give her as much to do, but I like her. Like okay, so the end of this movie
is one of my favorite endings to a movie ever.
And I feel like it is the kickstart to the Furiousverse.
It definitely is the moment where, and it's brilliant visual storytelling. So in the first race, which is again. Yeah. Just to go back to that for a minute.
Let's do that. I want to talk about the cars and racing. Because the first movie promises a lot and delivers...
very little.
I would say zero.
Right.
Zero.
As you were pointing out, the way that they choose to shoot the racing in the first movie sucks. We don't really... There's no tension. It's just sort of like they're relying so heavily on bad visual effects and bad sound editing. We don't really get the sense of what's actually happening. This movie kicks off with one of the best races I've ever seen in a movie.
Yeah, and it's not even... the way it's shot, it's just like, how interesting is a drag race? I never understood drag racing and people watching it. It's like two cars going fast straight for a quarter mile. Who gives a shit? The first turn, they took a turn and I was ecstatic. I was like, oh my God, they are turning.
Yeah, you noted that in the first movie, like, maybe they're turning. We have no way of knowing.
They aren't. They make it very clear that they're just, but even still, yeah, it's just straightaway after straightaway. And here, even on the straightaways, they're playing with it. Like, they're trying to pass each other. They're using each other to draft. It's like they're actually using the space in a way that we can feel like, oh, I'm a part of this.
Well, in the first race, you have four very simply and elegantly told characters.
Yeah.
Who we get their personalities, we get their personal little sub stories. We have the guy who, he's a little doubts himself a little bit, but he's holding on to that lead in front until the last minute. Then we have like the rude guy who's sexist,
he goes crazy too.
Who grabs those butts. Remember, he grabs those butts.
Yeah.
And he
like, says he doesn't want to race with women.
And Suki's driving a pink car and has an all-girl team with the pink car, and she's like, "Fuck you! I deserve to be here." So everyone has a little mission that they're on. It's very well told. We have a spatial relationship between the different characters, so I could tell you where they are in relation to each other.
Yeah.
And It sounds like we're pointing out something obvious, but when that's missing from a race scene, like in the first movie, you're really watching nothing.
Right.
And there's no tension. And then this solves that problem, and I felt they were eager to show that as soon as possible.
Yeah, it's like when you're playing Mario Kart and you have that like little map in the middle that shows you where everyone is. And like everyone's focused on their screen, but it's so comforting to just be like able to glance down there and see the overview of the entire map and see where everyone is. And I feel like this movie had that. It had the little map. It obviously didn't show it to us, but like it felt like they had the map while they were making it, and they like really made it clear. And I also really liked that we had 4 characters, and they all ended so differently.
Yeah.
You have, of course, Brian's going to win. We know he's going to win because he's cool. So he wins. But like Suki is in last for a while, and then she comes into third, and then she gets him second. The guy who was sort of cowardly and doubts himself is the only of the 2 guys, the one that jumps the bridge. And he just crashes, but he still does an okay job. And the 4th guy cowards out. He doesn't do it. So they all have like very different arcs within this one race. Like I know I'm pulling a lot out of this one little moment, but
no, but it's huge. It shows they closed that gap that was so apparent in the first movie.
The gap of no one having a personality.
And the stakes of the race seeming completely
the stakes of everything
unintelligible.
Yeah,
right. So it solves all those problems. It's really thrilling. And then later in the movie we get another car sequence, like another controlled race sequence where they got to race to get fresh cars and no GPS trackers. And we get a whole other, and we don't need to go to this in as much detail, but again, like they do a really good job of the visual storytelling where you get excited about the racing. In the first movie, you're like, oh, dear God.
I'm going to sit through another one of these.
and it's in a fucking car movie. You really don't want to be dreading the car parts.
But I think this was cool because this was also a straightaway with one turnaround, and it's a relay race. And it was a very cool, like, they turned that into something where they played chicken. It was actually a very inventive use of space. Again, they used the space. Ugh.
It's great, and it's very simple. And it was nice. I was like, oh my God, how are they going to do it? It was sick.
Yeah.
All of this is to say, the movie chooses to end on a note that is so fucking sick and truly ridiculous, which gives us, again, in the complicated historicity of how we're watching this, knowing what is to come and appreciating the evolution in real time. When Roman and Brian launched their car off that boat ramp and landed on the fucking yacht of the drug dealer just to fucking shoot him before he shoots them and save the day. And Eva Mendes, of course.
That's why I brought it up, was that Eva Mendes doesn't even really need their help.
Yeah.
Like she was about to get shot, but maybe she wasn't. Maybe this whole like disastrous boat launch was like a silly exercise in masculinity and she had everything under control.
But the parallel between the end of the first movie where... at the end of the first movie, we finally get Dom and Brian finally face off in their own straightaway, and I think honestly it's not a bad race. The train's coming; it's truly ridiculous.
It's so fucking.
They
dumb,
shoot
man.
over the railroad tracks. It's so silly. Like it's just dumb and silly. And like the fucking, as we've talked about in great detail, we will not reiterate this, but the fucking ending truck robbery is so stupid and idiotic. And the ending race, I thought it was cute. You didn't like it, whatever. This ending of like launching the car off of the ramp onto the boat, it's just like an absolute like Spike the football. Here we are. This is what this series is all about.
Yeah.
These guys have like conquered their emotional issues. They're closer than they've ever been before. They're not going to let their friend get carried away. They're going to fucking finish this job. And they do it in the most insane way possible, and it's awesome.
Yeah,
it's a real you and your father, you leap up from your seats at the multiplex, popcorn spills around you, a woman in a tube top is there for some reason. They're suddenly fucking the dankest EDM track starts blasting. It's a great moment in cinema.
Second only to sitting in the sun recording a podcast.
You look like a little mole rat. Never seen
the sun is
before. Literally
right in my eyes.
This is you in a nutshell. You're like, oh, it's so nice to be outside. I'm so happy and relaxed. 2 minutes later, ooch in my eyes.
Shut up. I'm fine.
Look at what I'm doing. I'm at an angle.
Yeah, I'm trying to look at you. And you know what?
You don't have to look at me.
What is that?
I don't know. I've been watching someone biked behind you earlier. There's a dog. I got in quite a view. I'm getting a show over here.
But why I think Eva Mendes, what was her character name?
I don't remember.
Yeah.
There's a lot of names in these movies. I want to give ourselves a little out here. There's so many fucking names.
I always give myself an out because I never remember them anyway.
Well, I hold myself to a higher standard.
I think she's MVP because she's strong. She's cool. She
has a big belt.
She has a giant
belt. At one
belt.
point, she wears a belt where you're like, this is wild.
But I think ultimately everyone sort of is doubting her and like, is she a spy? Is she a triple agent? But at the end of the day, she's not only is she not, she's got it. She's in control. And she's like, she puts up with so much shit.
Yeah, fucking the drug guy, grab her butt.
Yeah, and it's like, if you touch another man, I'm gonna fucking kill you.
And she does give Paul Walker a little kiss. On his houseboat. What a fucking glow up for Paul Walker.
But what's cool is that at the end of the movie, it's not like they're now together or in love. It's like, yeah, they fucked, maybe. We don't even really know. They fucked. And then
they have energy.
She's like, yeah, it was nice working with you. And he's like, yeah, likewise.
And they share a glance. And Roman's like, my boy Brian is at it again with the ladies.
But it's over. It's not like she's now in love with Paul. Like, that's not the point.
They go their separate ways.
And she's stronger than he is.
Yeah.
She's like more in charge of her life and everything around her than anyone else in the movie. I think she gets my vote for MVP.
That's a well-articulated case. I tip my hat to you, sir.
Thank you.
A tip of the hat.
Thank you.
Isn't this better than being in a basement or a studio?
Yeah. Yeah.
It
sure
Look
is.
at you
sure
go.
Is.
Just trying to put your hat on with one hand.
I'm trying to just get this situation under control.
Wow. You look so dorky. That's a good look for you. You look like you did ecstasy like 5 minutes ago.
I just need a visor.
You need a visor?
I need a visor.
Wow. He's wearing a baby yellow fucking beanie over his tie-dye hoodie. It's a good look.
Where to go?
From here? I don't know. I think we should record out here exclusively.
Wow, really?
Yeah, I'm completely addicted to this.
God damn it. Well, I have a backyard too, so that's okay.
Yeah.
Maybe just all outdoors.
Okay,
so
all outdoors. Okay, so a couple things. As I mentioned a minute ago, in the first movie, Paul Walker is sleeping in the back room of a car store.
Yeah.
And does he get a little action back there?
Sure does.
Fellas, yeah. He smashes Mia in the fucking car shop, which is very on brand for both of them. This movie, he's got a fucking he's sitting on Tesh's cool ass houseboat.
Yeah.
It's sick.
Yeah.
I was like very into that houseboat situation.
Yeah, so I think to go back to the universe as a large and what's going on here is
as a large. That was so cute.
Whatever.
You're falling apart.
I'm falling apart.
This is wild.
Look, dude, I might have...
You're like a valuable vinyl record where left to the elements it warps and the grooves begin to melt and what was once a crisply played song by Little Feat like Slip Away becomes a muddled DJ Screw like experiment in degraded audio.
I mean, they're both good. So
they are both good.
Yeah.
Did he ever do that? Man, DJ Screw doing Slip Away. It's so easy to slip. Or it's so easy to slip.
I mean, I think this is as close as it's ever going to get.
This is good.
Yeah.
This is fucking good shit.
We should call him. Call him.
He's dead. Rip.
So he rips.
John, Jesse, DJ Screw.
But yeah, so this is a movie
Paul.
that celebrates friendship, and I love those. Those are some of my favorite kind of movies. It's not about fucking family, and I love it.
You're fighting a one-person war on this.
No, I'm not. Yes, I am. I don't care. I don't fucking care.
You're much like Bucky, the Winter Soldier.
I don't want this to become like about family.
I
want them. I know, and I'm sort of
unavoidably that is the brand of.
You know what
series.
I like is that every character's independent. They have teams, their friendships, but we get a sense of who they are. And like the moment where they're talking on the bridge, and he's like, Roman's finally says, I've been blaming you for my mistakes my entire life, but I'm not. Why did I do that? It's my responsibility. I made mistakes, and I'm taking them. And then he's like, yeah, you know what? It's probably like that's why I let Dom go, because I was feeling that.
He points out that maybe Brian's sense of guilt over Roman is what led him to allow Dom Toretto to escape the end of Fast and the Furious 1.
Yeah,
and it's like
what a cool that is a connection to a previous movie. That is such a cool way to bridge this inexplicable plot and actions that people go through, and like, oh, we're gonna write a new movie and use plot elements that barely made sense in the first one to actually create a depth of character in the second one.
Right, and also, I think, will you permit me to mention Star Wars?
Yeah.
I often complain about that horrible sequence in Return of the Jedi where...
Which one? There's so many to choose from.
The really bad. The scene that's truly regrettable. And I'm not talking about... I'm not even addressing the reworked movie. I'm just saying in the original form, the bit on the walkways where Luke and Leia have a conversation that explains much of... And then Luke leaves and Han shows up, and then they have a conversation. It's like just some of the
Darth
laziest...
Vader starts talking to an Ewok.
Yeah, holy shit. Just like the most convenient, lazy plot development where everyone has this... Like, this is a artfully, simply... It's a short scene. It's like a minute long.
Yeah,
and it does something really elegantly. That's a really hard target to hit. And you watch these movies, and it's easy to be like, just get to the cars, man. Get to those tube tops.
Yeah, that's all we want. Cars and two tips.
Tube tops, black tops, driving cars and shooting rocks and oh my God. Oh, here's something I forgot to mention. In the first scene of this movie, they're all fucking balling out to a beautiful, beautiful song at
Which
the
song?
street race. Do
Which
you remember
song?
what song it is?
No. Oh, yeah.
Everyone in the
Yeah.
movie is having a fucking blast to the song Too Fast, Too Furious.
Yeah, brilliant.
I love it. I gotta look up
Brilliant.
who did the song because it's so fucking good.
So we did mention earlier that we watched Turbocharged Prelude, and that is everything that's wrong with, like, you feel like what happened was maybe these were outtakes or ideas that they were shooting and then realized that you really don't need his journey from LA to Miami, and they decided to release it as a short film. But like, that's the problem, is this movie does a lot of showing and doesn't do that. Like, oh, do you think the audience is going to wonder how he got from LA to Miami?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't give a shit.
No, it's like, no one cares. Like, he's in Miami now. It's a
turns out-
new story.
He banged, he street raced, and ended up in Miami.
Wow, cool. That's exactly
Yeah.
what I thought.
Okay, so Ludacris did a lot of the music for this. This playlist is pretty crazy.
Yeah, good soundtrack.
Good stuff. We got
Strangely,
Fat
the
Joe,
guy who-
Dead Prez, Joe Budden, Chingy, R. Kelly, of course. Yikes. Yikes, Pitbull.
So I guess I'm it's time to ask. I just want to ask you the question. Are you asking the question? I'm asking you the question. Are you asking the question?
No, I'm more stoked than ever. I loved this movie.
Yeah.
And as we know, the second movie in a franchise is a really fraught thing. Like, you know, I know you mentioned Shrek 2. I actually feel like Shrek 2 is kind of a complicated movie. I don't think I don't think it's aged well in my head. Like, it blossoms and opens up Shrek, but I don't know. I think like a Bad Boys 2, and this is in league with that kind of 2. And we've encountered so many like really bad second installments. I was really worried that this is going to lose momentum and be like a real Blade 2 or Austin Powers 2, and we don't land in that territory. So knowing that this did so well, knowing what's to come, knowing that the peaks are so far ahead of us, maybe as I recall them, yeah, I'm more excited than ever for 3. A
Yeah.
movie I've never seen Tokyo Drift.
Okay, so this is where I started,
Okay,
and I remember loving Tokyo Drift, and it was like the only thing I'd seen. I just remember the car shit being really good.
it better be. They're in Tokyo. Man.
I remember the acting being really bad. So this is such a weird franchise because we know that now both Paul Walker and Vin Diesel are out.
That's insane.
Yeah, and they shifted over to a new boring cowboy
But I mean,
in Japan.
they must have been already thinking about this expansion as like a larger franchise gesture.
Why do
maybe
you
I'm
see
being
that?
generous because maybe
I
they're
don't
like,
think so.
You think this was like they just thought they lost these guys?
Well, yeah, so here's what I mean. I think that Vin Diesel's out, and I think that's like what a mistake. What a career mistake for him to like just
He did
be like-
fine.
No, but I mean, like, maybe not career mistake, but just like I feel like if you're in a movie, I guess that's the weird thing about acting is that people want to make another one. That's all the producers. They get a new director, and they're like, all right, let's get the actors back, and they're just like, nah, I'm okay. So what do? You have to like create something new, and I think that again we find again and again that limitations are really what brings series to a new place. We don't have Dom anymore. Well, what can we do? Oh, we can get some new characters that actually make sense, and like it really allows the new team to create something that they want to do. So it seems like to me 3 is like Paul Walker also said, no thanks, I don't really want to do this if we're just going to do the same thing, or Vin's still not in. So they go do something else and just like keep churning out these franchise things. And I think that's great. I don't mind the churning out franchise things.
Well, I mean, certainly the hard pivot in this was such a delivery that I'm just looking forward to 3. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm fucking bring it the fuck on.
Yeah, I think it's going to be super fun, and I'm hopefully they're not going to go back to 1's terrible portrayal of Asian culture.
Yeah, that is certainly an area of which I have great anxiety.
It is a concern. I don't remember.
In Fast and Furious 2, Suki's great. We have Jimmy, the engineer.
Yeah.
There's more of a casual representation of Asians as part of the team, as opposed to like, yeah, the 1 was what a regrettable movie.
I think that's what's fun is that it becomes Roman and Brian's story about halfway through, and we sort of lose that initial, like the 4 people we talked about in the race and that whole group. And then the ending is so joyful. Where
Yeah.
like it's just
Well, their big trick to get away from all the cops chasing them is to have Tej and all the whole gang of street racers to
team.
pour out
It's not a
of
fucking gang.
the whole team of street racer fellas
Thank
and
you.
gals and squad, and they pour out of the fucking garage they've hidden in and confound those dang cops once and for all. Then they chase down the car to the GPS, and guess what? It's Suki and motherfucking Tej.
So
Suck
good.
our dicks.
But I think-
Cops.
That's what's so great is that this is about the team, and I like that Suki and Tej are their own thing.
Yeah.
I like
and
that.
we see their little subplot where at
Yeah.
the beginning they're sort of flirting, and by the end apparently they're like in a serious committed
Yeah,
relationship.
they're
Good
planning,
for them.
planning at the house.
We
they're
should
gonna
all
buy
be so
together.
lucky to find the Tej or Suki that we long
Oh
for
my
in life.
god!
Yeah.
I want both. Can I get
Yeah.
one of each?
I don't know, man.
Too much to ask for.
Too much to ask for.
Fuck.
I think this is great. I'm so stoked for 3. Excited?
I'm excited.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go fucking get him.
Let's watch it.
Tokyo Drift.
Three.
1, 2.
1, 2, 3.
There we go.
1, 2, 3.
Welcome
Shut
to
up. What the fuck is that dog doing?
Scout's got to stop.
Oh, there's just people.
It's just people, Scout. Yeah. Well, welcome to When Will It End? One sec, we got to do the photo real quick. Yeah. Hello. Harry cannot come out here. No, it's okay. He's just stupid.
He's just stupid.
Yeah.
Oh, photo. That's all right.
Okie doke. Good pre-roll. We're gonna get some good wind chimes on this one.
Yeah.
Don't worry. He's slow and stupid. He's not gonna trick you yet. Cut it out, Harry.